When was the last time I did a book talk? I don't know, but we're doing another one today for this book, and then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I wasn't going to make a book talk on this book because I didn't actually have that many thoughts on it, and then the ending happened, and I have a lot of thoughts on the ending. And I can't talk about the ending, obviously, because this is a murder mystery novel. Even if it wasn't, you can't talk about the ending of a book except in a spoilery review. So now I'm making one. This book is about 10 people that don't know each other that all get invited to stay on this island, and then once they get there they all get accused of committing murder, and then they start getting killed off one by one and no one knows who's doing it. Which, is it just me, or does that sound a lot like that Scooby-Doo episode? Is that just me, or is that a thing? Because I'm pretty sure that episode is based off this book. I guess I should mention all of the non-spoilers stuff first. I thought it was a good book overall, except for the ending. After it finishes introducing all of the characters to you, it gets really interesting, and the further into it you get, the more you can't put it down. I probably shouldn't call it a psychological thriller because I don't read psychological thrillers, so I wouldn't know what a psychological thriller is, but I would definitely call this a psychological thriller if I was going to call anything a psychological thriller. Before I read this, when I pictured myself reading a murder mystery novel, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to come up with so many different theories and stuff, and I'm going to have people that I think are definitely the murderer. But no, not once through this book did I even have anyone who I was slightly more suspicious of. They were just all innocent. It's told from 10 different points of view, so if that puts you off, then maybe you shouldn't pick it up. But I thought it was pretty well done. The characters were different enough that I wasn't getting anyone confused, and it didn't feel clumsy to read with all the switching. This book definitely has some more disturbing parts in it, and is of course really creepy in parts. I picked it up as a Halloween read, and that was a really good choice for that, so if that's gonna bother you, you probably shouldn't pick this up. Overall, I thought that this was a really great book, other than the ending, which I can't talk about except in the spoilery section, which is happening now. Who has an open-ended murder mystery novel? It's just not okay. Literally, the last line in this book is who did it. On one hand, I see the genius behind that. If the killer had been revealed, then the whole mystery and sinister feeling of this book would have died. And instead, since we didn't get to see who the killer was, that sinister mystery feeling continued way past the ending of the book. Before I read the epilogue, I just thought it was that girl. Even though it didn't say that explicitly, I was like, oh yeah, she killed this boy and the guilt drove her insane, so she wanted to die, but she also brought other people who were also guilty to die. I didn't even care that we didn't get an explanation of how she knew all these people did all these bad things, or why she chose them. I was just okay with that ending. And then I read the epilogue, where it said that the chair she had been standing on had gotten moved out from under her, so it couldn't have been her. When I finished this book, I wasn't really happy, of course, but the bad thing is, at the time I was reading this, I wanted that sinister feeling to go away. When I was reading this, my family and I were going on a trip, and I was reading this on the car on the way there, and I knew we would be spending the night in a hotel room for the first time, and so this was the worst time in the world to read a book about a psychotic killer. And so on the ride home, as it got creepier and creepier and darker and darker, I just kept reading through it because I knew that once the killer got revealed, that sinister feeling was going to go away and I could sleep. But the killer didn't get revealed, so the sinister feeling stayed and I couldn't sleep for the next several nights. So the main reason I'm upset about the ending is the situation I was in when I was reading it. I don't think I would have been necessarily happy about it in any situation, but in that situation especially. But actually, the more I think about it, the more I'm enjoying the genius part of it, because there wasn't closure. So the book stuck with me up to this point, several months after reading it, when I probably could have just gotten rid of it and forgotten all about it if it had the mystery being solved. But still, she could have at least made it where there is an answer, even if she didn't show the answer. It could be one of the things where the reader has to figure out what happened. And I tried that. I was thinking that maybe the guy that died with the clock falling on his head had killed himself like that, knowing that the final two would have thought that each other were the murderer, and one of them would kill the other out of fear, and then the final one would go up to the rooms where he had already put up nooses in both of their rooms, and would have been so crazed by all the happenings that they would have just hung themselves. Or at the very least, if they didn't hang themselves, then when help finally came, that person would be the only person left to blame for all the murders. And so they would go to jail if nothing else. And then it would all be done. But that theory doesn't work because, again, the chair got moved afterward. If it wasn't for that stupid chair, I would definitely have at least narrowed it down to those final 3 people. And like I said, I see the genius in it, but also I see laziness in it because she couldn't come up with an actual real thing that happened. Or maybe she did, and I'm just not seeing it. After 2 months of trying to figure that out, I just kept coming back to the chair, and I couldn't figure out the chair. And I've given up the idea of this book actually having a real ending that you have to figure out for yourself. I've just decided that there's no real answer. She did that on purpose. She purposely made everything so that there's no real good answer. There's some sort of ghost on this island, and that kills all of them. That's the best answer I can come up with. If you've come up with a better theory that actually works, feel free to share it in the comments because I want to know. That's all I have to say about this book today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I promise I have some more entertaining content coming up. I just really needed to get this off of my chest and off of my books I need to review shelf. Anyway, if you enjoyed it, you can like it and definitely comment if you have read this and you have a good theory. Please, if you haven't read this, then you've been spoiled. So, there you go. That's everything. Bye.